cyber technology business, and we've also got an intelligence business. I'll just briefly talk about the intelligence business because I'm not going to focus on it, but the intelligence business does a lot of work reporting on terrorist-type acts in Syria and various countries around the world, and is used by a lot of the FTSE 100 companies, certainly at their board level, to understand what activities are going on around the world. I'm not going to talk about that, but if you want to have a chat afterwards, I'm very happy to do that. What I want to talk about is the actual cyber business. I've got two people supporting me, which are sitting alongside. John, who's one of the founders, or was the founder, and is now Chief Operating Officer, and Peter Wood, who, for those who looked at the RNS a few weeks back, we bought his company First Base, which is the #1 penetration testing company in the country, and Peter will talk a little bit about what he's doing. So they're the three of us that are going to talk to you. We're talking for about 15 minutes, and then we'll move on. The question I ask is, for me personally, is history repeating itself? Back in the 1990s, there used to be internet service providers, for those of you who remember that. I was living in America. It was growing like crazy. The market was fragmented. There were lots of small players, and therefore I bought a lot of them, rolled them together, and sold them for over 300 million. In 2000s, I came back to England, and I ran a company called Pipex and Host Europe. Growing like crazy, fragmented market, bought about 15 of them, rolled them together, sold them for 300 million. Today, we've got the same model. It's the cyber security business. It's growing at a rapid rate. It's very topical. Market's fragmented. There's the big boys, but there's a lot of smaller players underneath, very fragmented. Can we do it again? I'm standing here to do it again for you. So the answer is yes, we can. So John will take you through now what business we're in, because lots of people talk about cybersecurity. It can be many things to many people. So I'll hand over to John. He'll tell you the bits that we're working on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Our business model is, in the cybersecurity world, our model is unlike that which you will find in most other cybersecurity businesses. We are not a software business. We are a managed services business, and we connect with our target audience, our clients, through a number of professional services that they require because they either need to remain compliant in a regulatory environment, or they need to get insurance for their day-to-day cybersecurity coverage, or they require intelligence. Now, Mike just mentioned we have an intelligence business on board, and what we've started to do with that product set is develop into what they call threat intelligence and delivering visibility to clients about what are the next level threats that are coming to their business over the coming year. And we help them and advise them over what security and measures they should put in place. As has just been mentioned, Peter Wood has brought his company First Base to the group to deliver the UK's finest penetration testing and assessment team. This team also brings with it over 170 top-name clients, some of which are household names, which they've been looking after for well over a decade. And so that is now part of our client base, and that will become more relevant as I go through the rest of this picture. Consultancy. There are an awful lot of organizations out there that don't really know what they don't know. And that sounds quite glib, but when it comes down to it, it means engaging with a client and helping them understand the risks that they face. There's an awful lot of technology, an awful lot of new threats that are coming into play, and businesses need assistance and education around what is a very, very fast-moving and risky environment. And we also have a response capability. And that is the ability from our operations center based up in Birmingham to respond to immediate threats or breaches that have happened to clients that are already our clients today, or clients that just ring us up and say, hey guys, I think I'm losing a huge amount of data. Could you please help us? Now, there are lots of businesses out there that do one or all of those four things, but you will find very few companies that do this. And that is, they provide a managed service from a security operations center with their own proprietary platform that underpins the delivery of that service. And coming back to the first set of professional services, why is that important? Because that is the point where we engage with clients and we bring them to our managed services. all of those professional lines of service run at around about 25 to 30% net margin, but the monitoring service, that online managed service, runs at circa 70% net margin. And in terms of revenue today, our intelligence business is running circa 2 million turnover. The assessment business now with Firstbase is running around about 2 million. Consultancy about 500,000. Our response, because obviously we don't see that very often, especially if we're delivering the security service, is around about 200,000. And our monitoring capability is running at around about 1 million per annum and growing rapidly. The 70% leveraged revenue growing rapidly. And now I'm going to hand over to Peter Wood, who is, I have to say, one of the finest gentlemen I've ever met, and also one of the most knowledgeable in the cybersecurity industry.
Thank
Peter.
you, sir. Incredibly generous. Thank you. So, 49 years as an engineer, the last 30 of those years building up a cybersecurity practice and researching and understanding what cyber is today. As you'll be well aware, 30 years ago we didn't call it cyber, but it's still the same thing. It's just got today's label on it. And I did look back very briefly, knowing I was coming to the QE2 today, and discovered that the first time I was here was giving a talk on network security in 1995. Whether I was in the same room, I don't know, but anyway. For those of you who remember CompSec, and you probably don't, that was the international conference of the 90s. So I want to talk to you about cyber resilience. This is not a Pete Wood invention. This model is a model that I first found published by NIST, the American government organization that helps protect the US economy from cyber attack. It's been adopted by the Information Security Forum, which is a UK independent body with some of the largest cyber organizations involved in it. And it's been adopted by some of the larger, big players, really, in this marketplace. But what I haven't seen is anybody able to effectively deliver managed services through these 5 pillars. And one of the big drivers for me as CEO of Firstbase to get together with Falanx was because we were successfully delivering a managed service in what here is called the Protect pillar. And that service was about testing the defenses of businesses, simulating criminal attacks. We've got some very large FTSE clients who retain us to do that on a regular and, in some cases, continual basis. And we had some testing capability just beginning to grow in the Detect column, which is all about testing whether those detective controls work correctly. We were actively seeking a business partner that could fulfill the Detect and Respond pillars for us, because those are areas that we felt, and have proven, in fact, to our own satisfaction, grow automatically from providing the earlier stages of this model. Whether that's me banging or...
Keep going.
Mr. AV will rescue me. Okay, thank you. There's no makeup, unfortunately, just AV. So the cyber resilience model, I believe, is well proven. I've spoken to many clients about this, and they're adopting the same philosophy. Quite importantly, the Bank of England, and one of our ex-partners who was an owner in Firstbase Technologies, is now in charge of the vulnerability management and assessment in the Bank of England. And he's shared with me their methodology, which maps onto it. They're rolling this out as a prerequisite to retail banks. They control the PRA, which controls the insurance industry. They're rolling it out to the insurance industry. So I'm confident that this model of offerings map onto a model of needs in the larger clients that we're currently dealing with, and will trickle down quite quickly. I do have a war story to share with you. A major UK transport infrastructure company that came to Firstbase and asked us to help them understand how to implement a cyber resilience model in their business. We successfully provided a across-the-piece consultancy service, helped them develop each of those 5 pillars, and to start a 2-year project to roll out all of those pillars. So irrespective of the extremely exciting opportunity that the SOC and Midgard service offers, there is also side and cross-selling between these pillars for a number of other managed services around pen testing, around user awareness training, and the majority of our clients don't want to manage these themselves. They want the opportunity to just buy and forget and have us do it for them. So it was such a great fit for me to find a bunch of guys who thought like we did, were as professional as we were, and were offering something that bolted onto the end of what we were doing, providing a complete piece across all 5 pillars.
Perfect, thank you. Can I pinch that, Peter?
Yeah, good idea.
Thank you, Peter. Last slide. I go back to sort of the thought process I had at the very beginning. To me, for an investor, we all look at I look at 3 things. I look at the market. Is there a market there? No good having a product and a great team if you haven't got a good market to sell into. We all know cyber is out there. I'd say that while I've been talking, 100 companies have been hacked, and most of them don't know it yet. They might not even know it for a few weeks. We might get that phone call to say, come and help soon. So the market's certainly there. You see it every day. The team, we've now built a very strong team. So you've got 3 of us here. There's Rick Flood at the back, who helped build Host Europe in the early days of sales and marketing. Dick Morell, a leading technologist at the front, and Ian Selby, a finance, I don't even know what to call you, Ian, but a finance guy who's been on AIM for many years. So we're all around. We all have to wear the same ties, so you can easily find us. So the market's there, the team's there, and John's just given you the product. So I've got 3 sort of things that are on the right-hand side of the slide. We've got over 300 customers. It's growing rapidly. We're trying to sell them all the products. If we can sell the bundle, we make more money. The monitoring one is a recurring revenue, so I love that because I earn money while I sleep. Nothing better than that. We've got some really thought leadership, both in technology and processes. Dick has bought some of it in. Peter's bought a lot in as well. We've got some very solid financials now. When we were standing here last year, it wasn't quite as firm. We've got solid financials. We're growing ourselves into profitability. We're in a great shape. So I think we've got the foundations in which to build a successful company. Questions? Yes, sir. Have we got enough cash to get through to profitability? If you look at what we raised fairly recently and what we've spent, I can't tell you exactly because our year-end results are going to come out soon, so I can't answer it. But if you look at the numbers, it looks good. There's a big question about profitability, which you and I will have a chat about, because I know some companies that are making like £7 or £8 million EBITDA, which I think is, but they're still not profitable because of their balance sheet. So, you know, profit means many things. Yes, sir. Sorry?
What do we use our investment for?
Right, the investment that we've just made, well, a few months back, we bought Peter's company. So Peter now has got yachts, farms, and is a very happy man. His wife is even happier. So most of the money we collected from people like yourselves and some big institutions. So Unicorn, big institution, they put £1.5 million in, okay? So we've collected from everybody. Most of it came straight out of my pocket into Peter's. Interestingly, the board put in around 300,000. So we are backing ourselves. All our share options that people often worry about are all linked to share price. So we don't get anything until we get the share price up to numbers like 8, 12, 15. Today, it's at 4.7. We are, can I say this, cheap? Well, I'm cheap. It's not expensive. So inexpensive, definitely. I'm running out of time. One last question. Yes, madam.
Just explain how the SaaS recurring revenue works.
SaaS recurring revenue, people buy the monitoring service. We charge them monthly. It's linked to either devices or sort of activity, if you like. We can, the man in front of you will give you the detail, or George, who runs the SOC over there, will help you understand how that works. We charge monthly, so let's just say it's £3,000 a month, and we keep monitoring them every month for 3 years. And so it's just a recurring revenue. George watches them, and if you log on in Birmingham, Manchester, and Edinburgh, that might be an issue. George will ring your company and say, is this something that should be happening? And if it is, that's fine. If it's not, we'll come and help sort you out. The SaaS part, the SaaS model in software terms is a recurring revenue stream. So the way to, when we were doing the institutions, they understood a SaaS model fairly quickly, whereas it's really a recurring revenue monitoring one. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.